All right. Well, welcome. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Mary. She is the CEO of the Minneapolis Indian Center and the executive director of the Minneapolis American Indian Center and the CEO of the center's Boys and Girls Club, a position she has held since 2013. Mary has numerous years of nonprofit experience, both in the management and the development side. She has received a number of awards and accolades, including the Dreammaker Award from the Anne Bancroft Foundation in 2008, an award recently won by Cheryl Reeve, the head coach and the president of the basketball at the Minnesota Lynx. And Mary was also named a local public health hero by the City of Minneapolis Health Department in 2016. She received her bachelor's degree in sociology and American racial and multicultural studies from St. Olaf College and is a member of the White Earth Nation and Ojibwe tribal government located in northwestern Minnesota. Welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
You've won a lot. You've done a lot in your lifetime.
It's been a long journey.
Walk me all the way back. So you went to school essentially for what you're doing. Seems like.
It seems like it, but when I started college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I thought, because I didn't have any family members that had gone to college before me.
First generation.
First generation.
Very cool. Okay.
And so I didn't know. I just kind of assumed, you go to college and you go into business. And so originally when I was in college for internships, that's what I did. I was a marketing analyst intern for a very short period of time. Wasn't for me.
Yeah, you discovered quickly that you were like, I don't want to do that. Was there anything specific about that type of work that you were like, nah, not for me, or just generally didn't feel like it was a good fit?
It was, for me, it was just sitting in the cubicle and punching in numbers. It just didn't feel satisfying to me.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that I really was interested in doing. I did it for one summer and then part of the second summer when I was in college, and I ended up leaving and looking for something else to finish out that summer. And I just happened to fall into a nonprofit, that part of the summer, and that's what I continued to do.
Did you change your major a couple times, or was that like kind of your generals your first 2 years and then you picked your major a little bit later? Did you have to switch a couple times?
No, I didn't switch my major at all. I just, that's kind of what I fell into, after the different courses that I decided to take.
Yeah.
Ended up with a sociology major.
Okay. Did you grow up in Minnesota?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up. So let's see, my younger years, I went to school in Minneapolis. So I was in kindergarten. I went to Calhoun School.
Okay.
That's where Calhoun Square parking lot is. That was my kindergarten.
Okay.
And then first through sixth grade, I was at Incarnation Catholic School in South Minneapolis for like a brief period in there. Sometime, I think I was in third grade when my family moved to the White Earth Reservation.
Okay.
But we didn't stay there for very long. And my mom and I returned to Minneapolis, and I continued to go to school at Incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And then in junior high, that's when my mother remarried, and we moved to the Iron Range.
Oh, okay.
In northern Minnesota.
Yeah, way
And
up there.
That's where I ended up graduating from high school.
Okay.
It was Evelyn Gilbert High School. And I left the day after I graduated from high school, and left for Minneapolis.
Okay. Very cool. And when you were growing up, what did your mom do for work, or what did your later on stepdad do for work?
Yeah. So my mother, so when we lived here in Minneapolis, she was a telephone operator for Northwestern Bell.
Oh, okay.
So that was That was a long time ago.
So, okay,
Yeah.
bring me back because I think I have an understanding of what a telephone operator does, but explain it to me because I was born in 1997.
So, I mean, I've seen pictures of her in a commercial.
Really?
There was some kind of a shoot
Yeah.
that she was in, and she had headphones on, and there was a switchboard, and so people would call in for the operator and want to be connected to another call, and so that's what she would do.
Okay.
So she did that. Yeah, she did that for a number of years. When we moved up to northern Minnesota to the Iron Range, my mother continued to work, but got into a different area and started working for the Boys Fort Band of Ojibwe,
Okay.
working at their casino that they had just built.
Oh, okay.
That was back in the 80s.
Brand new. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what she did. And she's just kind of continued to do other work, as she has retired a couple times, but just kind of goes back to it and wants to keep busy.
Yeah. Do you feel like her working at the casino or anything like that, like how did that form your relationship with work and then what you wanted to do as you were growing up?
I'm not really sure with that, how much of an impact. I mean, at least, working at the casino part was. I think the greater impact really has been just my mom's, just her work ethic.
Yeah.
She's in her later 70s now and she still works.
Yeah.
So, it really is her work ethic. I think that has really influenced me.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a number of siblings. A lot are living in northern Minnesota.
Okay.
Some on the White Earth reservation.
Okay. Cool. So sounds like you were kind of brought into nonprofit leadership or nonprofit work later in college after you decided marketing wasn't for you. What was that first nonprofit experience and what was that like? And did you know immediately that like, this is for me, this is what I want to do? Or was it kind of a tiptoe into it? And then years later you were like, well, I'm in it now, so I'll keep
Yeah.
going. What was that experience like?
So that was, let's see, I would have been, I think I was a junior in college then. And so that was when I decided that marketing analyst, that wasn't me.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do something different. I tried, a few other things that summer. And one of them was a canvassing job. And I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You had to make a quota as far as, how much money that were committed.
Right.
And I had a really hard time with that, asking people for, especially elders,
Mm-hmm.
where they're giving you their last few dollars
Right.
to go towards, lobbying or, something like
Mhm.
that. And it just wasn't for me. And so I had an aunt that worked for a nonprofit organization called Reuben Lynn Family Services back then. And it was located by Powderhorn Park in
Mm.
South Minneapolis. And she said, they really need a substitute preschool teacher. And I said, I can't do that. She said, yeah, you can. And so I ended up being a substitute preschool teacher. I also ended up being one of the van drivers for the preschool that summer, and then into the next summer too. And so when I was graduating from college, prior to that, Reuben Lynn Family Services had offered me a job, and so took it. I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I thought it was just a really good opportunity. I really liked working with the kids. So I was a preschool teacher in the therapeutic preschool.
Okay.
And just really liked it so much. And so that's when I graduated from college, originally, that's what I did. I was a therapeutic preschool teacher. And then so I graduated in 91. And it was in 1994, well, just prior to 94, I think we started in 93, in meeting with Little Earth of United Tribes housing development. I think at the time we were meeting with their Residents Association, because Little Earth was going to be acquiring another building, and would be a neighborhood early learning center. And so they were looking for occupants for
Mhm.
that building, that would provide services to the American Indian children and families that were living at Little Earth.
Okay.
And so Reuben Lynn Family Services, they put their hat in. And so I was tapped then to do the presentation to the Residents Council. And so we were selected to be one of the tenants in the Little Earth Neighborhood Early Learning Center.
Wow.
So that was back in 93. And in 94, the building still, it had to go through like a major capital campaign
Okay.
and be renovated. And there's a lot that had to be done. And so I started a therapeutic preschool program in 94 at Little Earth of United Tribes.
Wow.
And I started it in their housing office building. So just getting ready for that neighborhood early learning center to open. We were in that temporary space it was just over 5 years,
Oh, wow.
because the neighborhood early learning center didn't open until it was 2000,
Oh, wow.
when we had the grand opening. So it was, or no, not 2000. I'm sorry. Maybe it was what I would have to go back and look at that.
Years,
But anyway,
probably
it
much
was
later than you expected.
yeah, it took a long time
Yeah.
to get that going. But ultimately, it was opened, and the preschool that I had started moved into that building. And so it was there for a number of years, until they merged with the family partnership.
Okay.
So the program is still there.
Cool.
It's not at Little Earth, but it is with the family partnership. So it is on Lake Street and Bloomington now, and it's called the Four Directions Family Center.
Cool. Do you feel like that experience has made you want to continue to be involved with the Boys and Girls Club at the center now
Mhm.
and kind of continue in with younger kids?
Yeah, definitely. So ironically, we hired a new director of our Boys and Girls Club in the past few months.
Okay.
And
Congratulations.
she was in my preschool
Oh,
at
really?
Little Earth.
Wow.
Yes. So
Full circle.
she was in my preschool. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now she's the director of our Boys and Girls Club.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, just really, it really, for me, it's been about community.
Okay.
And it's always about the kids, and providing opportunities for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, I mean, it definitely starts to feel like community, especially at that age, is really one of the most critical things you can give to a kid and give them a place of belonging and a sense of safety of wherever they're at. And, give them other people that are experiencing similar things and resources to be successful in whatever they choose to do. Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever in your career of nonprofit, have you ever considered switching? Have you ever considered like, maybe I'll do something else, maybe I'll try something else? Was there any other opportunities that you ever felt like chasing or anything like that?
I did. For a brief time, yeah, I thought that I wanted to work in the foundations.
Okay.
So being on the other side, and giving out the grants and working with community-based organizations.
You wanted to write the checks.
Exactly. And I didn't go there. That didn't happen. But there have been times, it can be kind of a tough place to be.
Totally.
And I mean, honestly, I'm not on social media, and it's just because of a lot of just kind of backlash
Yeah.
that comes to like anyone in this type of position.
Yeah.
And, for me, I think that it's helped to not be on social
Okay. Yeah,
media,
protecting
if
your
that makes
peace a little bit.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my perception is that in your line of work, you are always you can't serve everyone 100%. There's always a sector of people that you can't serve because you don't have the resources or you don't have the time, or serving that sect would hurt this other sect, or whatever it might be. So really having to make those tough decisions of like, okay, well, this is our mission. This is what we're going to serve. This is what we're going to allocate our funds towards,
Mhm.
and that's how we can make maximum impact. And yes, we know it's not going to serve you, and I'm sorry that that's the case, but that's the decision we're making right now. So yeah, that makes sense that, staying off social media so people can't, contact you directly, or, say things and you read them when you don't really want to. So
Right.
that kind of brings us to the next thing. Like, has this passion ever ebbed and flowed? Like, obviously it sounds like you were maybe interested in going a different direction for a brief period. You obviously didn't do that and you stayed in this industry. You know, I'm sure the passion has ebbed and flowed. So maybe the question really is, how do you keep going? How do you, when the passion isn't there, how do you decide to get up in the morning and say, I'm still going to give this my all today?
Mm, for me, it really, it comes down to community.
Yeah.
Um, so, so when, so I'll just kind of back up a little bit. So my family, we, are from White Earth, really, in the urban area though.
Hmm.
And so, it just, that it's been that connection to culture that I didn't necessarily have all
Okay.
the time growing up. And, so for me, it really has been, with community, being able to bring back the culture and to celebrate our
Hmm.
culture and the languages.
Yeah.
And so that's really what's kept me going with community and just seeing all the progress,
Hmm.
that has been made over the years because I've been doing this work. It's been 34 years in the
Wow.
community.
Yeah.
It really is community that keeps me going.
Okay. Very cool. Do you talk to any other leaders of other American Indian centers across the United States? And do you like, how does Minnesota stack up against other places? How does that work? And, how, how do we keep that culture alive? And
Hmm.
comparatively to other places, how does that look?
Yeah. So for us, so there are other American Indian centers across the nation, and there's a few that have that have lasted since they opened.
Yeah.
There's a lot that that closed their doors back
Mhm.
in the 80s.
Okay.
And I would say that the Minneapolis American Indian Center, and I'm not biased at all, but I will just say that we have the most beautiful center.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have been there and
I've
seen
driven by
it.
it many, many times, but I have not physically been in it.
So we moved back in and had a grand reopening on May 1st of last year.
Yeah.
After a $32.5 million renovation and expansion for the building.
Yeah.
And I've gotten phone calls. I actually had the Phoenix Indian Center executive director and some of the board members
Yeah.
at our grand reopening.
Okay.
And so there really is a big interest,
Mhm.
and a lot of the centers just want to know, how did you do it? How did you raise the funds?
Mhm.
Just really kind of looking for, any ideas and guidance.
Yeah.
And, I think, with the Minneapolis American Indian Center, just all of the programs too that we have going on,
Mhm.
it is, it's really gained a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And, there's people that are in Hawaii, that will get on some of our classes.
Oh, wow.
So it really has made like a really big impact
Yeah.
in the community, and beyond.
So you're really leading the pack is what I'm hearing you say, is like
I would
other
say
places are looking to you to say, "Hey, how did you do this and how can I do what you did?"
some are, yeah,
Yeah.
some
Cool.
are,
That's
some
awesome.
are. And then within Minneapolis and St. Paul, We also have a group called the Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors, or
Okay.
MUD is what it's called.
Okay.
And that's all the executive directors, the CEOs of all of the urban indigenous
Oh, cool.
organizations. We all meet.
Nice.
So, we do a lot of collaboration, just a lot of working together, for the benefit of the community.
Yeah.
And so they've all been very supportive of the Indian Center
Yeah.
and just everything that we've had to do, with raising money. And, we were out of the building for, about a year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah.
And so the other organizations really stepped up and helped a lot. If we needed to find a space to meet, if we needed space for our programming.
Hmm.
So everybody's had been very supportive.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, how did you raise the $32 million? What was,
Not done yet.
you're not done yet. All right.
Done.
Well,
Not done.
how do you go about doing something like that? And do you take, 90% of that charge, or do you have a counterpart that helps you out with that? Or what does your work split look like of, running the actual programming that you currently have and then trying to develop new programming and then getting funding for that for all of it?
Wow. So that's like 200% of my time,
Yeah.
everything that you just talked
Okay.
about. Let's see. So how did we raise the money? For me, it was a learning experience, right? Nothing that, so when I first started at the Indian Center, I started out as the grant writer.
Oh, okay.
And so I did that for a short period of time. Prior to that, I was the grant writer at Little Earth of United Tribes Housing Development. So I had grant writing experience,
Hmm.
but not anything near the experience of launching a capital campaign. And so I was very fortunate to have worked with an outside consultant that actually did this type of work.
Okay.
So when I was at Little Earth, we had done more of a capacity building campaign
Hmm.
and worked with this particular firm. And so when we were thinking capital campaign, we looked around and interviewed different firms, and ultimately went with the firm that I had been familiar with.
Nice.
And so that really helped me a lot because I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. My first experience with it was I just remembered. So at the time, Karen Clark was our state representative in our area,
Okay.
and this was back in like 2017, and Karen said that we should get money to do pre-development. And I was like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
And didn't know what that all entailed. And so Governor Dayton, Governor Dayton was governor at the time. And he had put the Indian Center into his suggested construction budget for
Oh,
pre-designed dollars.
nice.
So I thought, oh, wow, didn't know we had to go through the whole legislative process to get the money. So that was a learning experience.
Totally.
So I would be meeting with, with representatives and didn't meet with any of the senators until Karen Clark said one day, she said, all right, so you've met with all of these representatives. What senators have you met with? And I'm like, what? Am I supposed to do that too? So I had no idea. So it was a learning experience. I had a great capital campaign committee,
Hmm.
and they really helped me to raise the funds. And then also just a lot of support from elected leaders and from the tribes in the state of Minnesota.
Okay.
And it was one particular legislative session that I was going through because it was so we had pre-development or pre-design dollars,
Hmm.
and then after that, we went back to the state for cash appropriation for the construction. And there was one session that happened. It was when everyone was shut down during COVID. And right before that session, though, I had gone to the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. So that's made up of 11 of the tribes in the state, and they meet quarterly. So I had gone to them to present on our plans for the Indian Center and to get their support, a letter of support for that legislative session
Yeah.
coming up. And it was one of the tribes. They said, "What else? What else could we do?" And I said, honestly, I said, any help at the legislature with lobbyists
Hmm.
because we just don't have that capacity. And so it was one of the tribes, the Shakopee Midwakaton Sioux community, that provided lobbyists to
Wow.
us during that session and helped us I think during that session, we were able to get 2.6 million
Wow.
cash appropriation. So, it really has been just a kind of a puzzle to put all of the different funding streams together,
Right.
from new market tax credits, federal appropriation, the state cash appropriations, philanthropy, you name it,
Yeah.
individual giving,
Yeah.
just unbelievable at the amount of support that we've had. So I'm at over 30 million secured
Nice.
of the 32.5 million that I would need to complete the project.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I
Thank
mean,
you.
that's pretty darn close. It sounds like a lot of moving pieces to put together and a lot of people to make happy to ultimately accomplish the goal of the new center, which
Right.
obviously, helps everybody involved. So
Yes.
that's quite the accomplishment. That's very cool. What I mean, I'm sure it's changed because of that capital campaign, but generally speaking, what does your time split look like of like, okay, you have the current programs that are running. You, I'm sure, want to develop new programs for other people that maybe aren't being served in your current ones or other ones that you feel like you could do better or whatever it is, and then raising that money. What is your time? I mean, you said it's 200% of your time. Is it, 10% working on new programs? What does that split look like?
Right now I'm not really looking at developing new
Okay.
programs. I think with the current funding climate, it really is for me. It's more about sustaining what we have,
Yeah.
because we really have some great programs. So it really is about keeping those going. And so for my day, I would say maybe like 10% now is on fundraising,
Okay.
and the rest of it really is focused on our current
Okay.
programs and sustainability of those.
And do you like that split? Do you wish it was different? Do you wish that you could do, 30% other new programming? Obviously with the funding climate, it's a little bit different, but in your dream world, what would your work split look like?
In my dream world, yeah, my split would be a lot different. It would be more program development,
Mhm.
new programs for community. I would say, yeah, 30%, with that, and then 50% sustaining what we have,
Yeah.
and 20%, really looking at new collaborations
Okay.
and partners.
Okay. And something we haven't talked about at all is like staff development.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about sustainability of the current programs, is that a lot of staff development of making sure that they have the tools they need to keep their program going or running? Or are you like really hands on in the program, side by side with staff? What does that look like?
It varies.
Okay.
It really does. We have a lot of different programs ranging from, our Boys and Girls Club of the Minneapolis American Indian Center, we have our cafe, the Gatherings Cafe, and
Yeah.
art gallery, family services, employment and training, culture, language, and arts. So, just so many things
Hmm.
that we have going on there. Um, and now I lost your question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What, like staff development, like what does it look like to, I mean, how many employees do you oversee, I guess is a great question. And then how much of this sustainability of the current programs is working with those staff members or working in the programs themselves?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see with staff. So staff development, we have gone from, so before we moved back into the building in 2024, we were at about just over 30 staff.
Okay.
Right now we are at 50, I think we are at 58 staff.
Okay. Quite the growth.
So we've really grown a lot.
Yeah.
And when we were really designing the building, looking at programming, that was something that was in the back of my mind. Because we would need more help with cleaning the building.
Right. More.
We would
Yeah.
need more help with just operating the building. With a cafe reopening, expanding that and hiring, for the cafe.
Mhm.
So, we had anticipated the growth.
Mhm.
And so with staff development, very intentional of ensuring that, every month we all get together.
Okay.
So as a whole staff, and utilize that for a training. And it's a time for all of us to get together too, because not everybody gets to see everybody all the time.
Right.
So it's just a good opportunity for all of us to be together. But monthly, those trainings can be anything from, we have done de-escalation, we've done active shooter training, going over our handbook.
Mhm.
I mean, just so many different things that we do there
Mhm.
with the trainings and opportunities. So I think that we are definitely growing, and for us or for me, I guess it really is about making sure that our staff have the tools that they need to do their jobs and
Yeah.
to do them well.
Yeah. I think the staff part of it is something that in the for-profit world, I think CEOs are looked at as leadership of staff. And I think in the nonprofit world, CEOs or executive directors are serving their community, raising money, and then maybe third or somewhere even further down the list, they're in charge of 58 staff, which is a ton. Like that's a ton of work to
Mhm.
get everyone on the same page and get them where they want to be going and ensure everyone's got the tools to do their job. So I think that often gets overlooked and under celebrated from your perspective or from what you're doing. So
Yeah, and I'll just say that I couldn't do it without the staff that I have.
yeah.
They have really been instrumental in just the growth that we've had there. So yeah, they you need to have a good staff,
Yeah.
and I do. I
Yeah.
have a great staff.
Awesome. That's great. Let's talk about some career highlights. So you are probably closing on this giant campaign pretty soon, I would guess, I would hope.
I hope.
What else? What other kind of when you look back or you're like those are the reasons that I do this. So, kind of these specific moments are things that, give you those warm fuzzies inside where you're like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I do this.
I would say definitely my time working at Little Earth in different roles. Starting the preschool there back in '94,
Mhm.
and having, I mean, that was probably the funnest time that I had,
Yeah.
right? So like developing a preschool and being able to design it myself, and working with the kids and the families.
Mhm.
I mean, that really was, I think that was the best time that I had.
Yeah.
If I could do it again, if I could just be the preschool teacher,
Mhm.
I think I would have liked to have been just a preschool teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, things changed
But
over
you
the
had to be
years.
good at leadership. So here you are.
So yeah, definitely that. I would say the opening of the Little Earth Neighborhood Early Learning Center, that definitely was a highlight. Um, Being selected as the executive director of the Minneapolis American Indian Center,
Yeah.
that definitely was. And I'm only the fourth executive
Wow.
director in their 50 years. So it really is an honor.
Yeah.
And let's see what other highlights. I'm going to say May 1st, 2024, when we had the grand reopening of
Hmm.
the Minneapolis American Indian Center. You looked out on Franklin Avenue and it looked like the state fair.
Wow.
I mean, just like a sea of people.
Yeah.
And we did the ribbon cutting, had, all of the leaders from the tribes were there to
Mhm.
celebrate community. We had there were over 2,000 people
Wow.
for that. And we had like a beautiful powwow and celebrated. So yeah, I would say that is kind of has capped it,
Yeah.
that was a great opportunity.
It's incredible.
Mhm.
Do you think that this, you talked about your mom retiring a couple times.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate that happening for you? Do you think you'll do this job until you retire, or do you think you'll never retire? What do you your next 15, 20 years, what do you think that'll look like?
I have no idea. I really don't. I'm going to continue what I'm doing. I have some goals still set
Yeah.
that I still need to meet with my current position, and I guess I really haven't looked into the future to see like what other possibilities there are.
Yeah.
Um, for now, I'm going to stay at the Minneapolis American Indian Center and keep doing what I'm doing for a few years. Yeah, yeah. Retirement. Well, I mean, I'm 56, so it's coming.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah.
mean, maybe it's not though. You sound like you might be a little bit like your mom in that you say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna retire," and then maybe you'll go back to being a preschool teacher, or maybe you'll find something else. Although you said you have
Possibly.
two grandkids, so
I do
they'll
have
probably
two
keep you busy.
grandkids. Yeah. And so I will say my dad is still working too.
Okay. Wow.
And so he lives up on the White Earth Reservation,
Okay.
and he started a cultural center there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And so I told him he was copying me.
Yeah.
But
And he's following in your footsteps.
yeah, and he claims he's going to retire at the end of this year.
Okay. Claims.
So we will see, because he's him and my mother, same work ethics. They just don't stop.
Mhm.
And with my dad, I just remember as a kid going to a lot of protests with him
Okay.
because, he was always very involved with the
Totally.
American Indian movement.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of that kind of stuck
Yeah.
growing up.
Interesting. Well, walk me through what your week kind of looks like. Like, you're here with me today. It's a Tuesday. It's almost 10:30. What does your week normally look like?
It varies.
Okay.
It varies. This week, Monday, spur of the moment kind of thing. I didn't know that I had to do a welcome for art grant makers in the arts.
Okay.
So that kind of got sprung on me.
Yeah.
So I did that. Reports. I always have reports. Right now, we just started the field work for our audit. So getting like everything together for the audit. I'll have meetings. I have reports. Tomorrow I will do a welcome for an organization that's coming into the Minneapolis American Indian Center. And then we're hiring, in our Boys and Girls Club. So I'll be doing some interviews too.
Okay.
So just kind of a mix.
Yeah.
And then meeting with staff, community. One of our community elders passed on last week. And so I will be celebrating her life tomorrow night with
Okay.
her family.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
nice. Sounds like a lot of variety.
It is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. There's no 2 weeks that are the same. I will say that.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. But I don't really like surprises. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I love the variety, but at the same time, when I have something last minute that's like, "Hey, you got to do this right now," I'm like, "Ah, I didn't." do that today. I had my day planned out. Week week to week chaos. I like day to day chaos. I'm kind of like, yeah, I like at least to wake up and know about what my day is. When you took on the executive director role, was there anything that you expected to not like and ended up liking, or vice versa that you expected to really like and ended up? I'll give you an example. I took on a role where I suddenly had to do a bunch of financial reporting, and I thought I was going to absolutely hate it. And turned out I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, spreadsheets. Turns out I'm really good at them and I really like to do it. Anything like that for you?
Let's see. Well, I was already a grant writer. I think for me, no, it's a hard question. I'm just trying to think of something.
I mean, maybe it's exactly as
Nonprofit.
you expected. That's totally fine. I think it always fascinates me people in careers that things that they thought they would hate that they love, or things that they thought they would love that you end up kind of growing old. Like I've got a couple of friends that are in sales positions, and a lot of their job is whining and dining. And for them, they were like, "Oh, this is the best. I get to go basically to fancy restaurants and on company dollars. I don't have to pay for it. I get to do all this fun stuff." And then 2 years in, they're like, "Oh my god, I just want to eat at home. I don't want to eat out anymore. I don't want to like wine and dine these people. I just want to go out with my friends." So, I mean, if it's exactly as
Like
expected, I
that.
love that.
Yeah. So the one I will say that the one thing that I liked at first, and now I'm just like, it's the travel. So if I have to travel for a conference
Mhm.
or a mandatory, grantee meeting,
Mhm.
that gets hard. Just because you work doesn't stop,
Mhm.
and then you also have to do that on top of being away,
Yeah.
and that's been the part that I really thought, oh, that's so cool at first, and now I'm like, oh, I don't want to go.
Yeah, yeah. Can we just do this remotely?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about if you weren't doing this, do you have any idea what you would be doing? You say nonprofit was off the table. No, 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 you can't do any community service, nothing like that. You obviously wouldn't be marketing or canvassing neighborhoods. Is there anything else that you have felt like, oh, maybe I would be good at that, or maybe I would like that?
Um, so when I first started in college, I actually thought it was going to be something around math.
Oh, okay.
And so maybe that would be it,
Yeah.
but not for a nonprofit then,
Okay.
right? So accounting
Yeah.
or something in the finance world.
Mhm.
I think maybe that's where I might have ended up.
Yeah. Do you find that your liking of math helps you with your reporting? You mentioned you do a bunch of reporting. I'm sure
It
that
definitely
that helps out.
does. Yeah, that does. And then with just all of the budgets too. So yeah, it helps a lot.
Budgeting must be quite tedious for you. I would
Hmm.
imagine. Probably a very long process to budget for the year.
Yeah, it is.
What about the rhetoric around nonprofit leaders and their income ceiling? So I went to school for entrepreneurship. So it was like, be a CEO of this giant company, make a bunch of money. And there really wasn't I mean, I think the counterpart is always be an executive director of a nonprofit and don't make as much money. What's your take on that?
I mean, you really don't get into this field for the money. That's not what it's about. It's about the people. It's about the community. It's about our culture and preserving all of that. So, for me, I guess I just really haven't paid attention to any of that rhetoric.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what everybody is making or anything like that,
Sure.
but yeah, I would say that I haven't been influenced by
Yeah.
it.
There's a phenomenal TED Talk, and I wish I knew the person's name, but he talks a lot about there's conversations always about, oh, well, this nonprofit spends X amount on admin and not as much on programming. So you shouldn't donate to that nonprofit. You should donate to the nonprofit that is, spending basically all of their funding on programming rather than administrative costs. And his was basically like, don't do that. Like, don't think like that. Like, the ones that are spending the money on the admin that is going to drive them forward are the ones that are serving their community the best in the long run, rather than just like throwing all this money at programming with no structure, no check ins, no nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
We have a very small administration team at the Minneapolis American Indian Center. Um, yeah, I know that I know how difficult it can be.
Hmm.
If I didn't have the staff that I have, I don't know that we would be as I don't know as
As effective.
yeah, as
Yeah.
effective as we
Totally.
are, without that, you need a grant writer.
Mhm.
We need an operations person to handle the building. There's me.
Mhm.
We have, a handful of others too.
Mhm.
One thing one person that we did have to hire a new position was an events coordinator,
Mm.
just because of, just the Indian Center's been so busy.
Totally.
And so we've had to do that. But, I need those staff. We need those positions
Mhm.
in order to effectively serve the community
Yeah,
and keep our
100%.
doors open.
Yeah, and hiring somebody, and they deserve to be paid well, like, whether they're dedicating their life to nonprofit or not, like, that shouldn't
Hmm.
if they can effectively do their job, they should be paid accordingly. It's
I
kinda
agree.
yeah. You mentioned you're doing some interviews. What are some traits that you've noticed in people that you're like, "Oh, this person's gonna do well in this field?"
I think about, it really is those that are, you can feel the passion, when you're doing interviews, and people that really want to, you know, something positive for the community.
Mhm.
You can feel it in those interviews. I would say that people that are more humble are going to be more successful.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of people over my 30 plus years, when they get into positions of leadership, um, sometimes it goes to their head, right?
And get a little power trippy.
Yep, they
Yeah.
do, and that doesn't fly.
Mhm.
That they those people don't last long.
Right.
It really is the ones that are. You can just see the passion,
Mhm.
love for the community.
Mhm.
So in interviews, that's really what I pick up on. Are those that that are there for the right reasons, and not there. I don't know, it's like an ego thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's rewind 30 years, or you said 33 years now. What would you tell your younger self at the start of your career?
Oh, I would tell myself to stick with it, to not not let others get you down, to just keep on that same path,
Mhm.
and yeah, just and to believe in yourself too.
Mhm.
To really to believe in my own skills and what I can do.
Mhm.
I think, starting out, it was just also new to me.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot as I've gone, through 30 plus years.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I've seen a lot and I've gone through a lot, especially working in our urban American Indian community. Um, I've lost family members to addiction, to gun violence in the past couple of years in Minneapolis. And so, yeah, my younger self, I would say just to stick with it, and to keep doing what you believe in.
Great, great words of advice. Something we didn't talk about at all that I want to touch on, if you don't mind, is
Hmm.
being a woman in this industry. Did you feel any what was that experience like? Did you feel like you were, looked down upon in any way? Did you feel like you had something to prove? Did that affect your career at all?
So I got fired
No.
I did. I got fired from my job at Little Earth.
Wow.
And ironically, I'm on their board of directors for housing, but I was fired because one of so then I had a supervisor who was very inappropriate, and there was sexual harassment in the workplace. And when I went forward with everything, um, it was basically everything that I had brought forward was not validated. And when that person was talked to by the board, I mean, it pretty much was like a slap on the hand, and don't talk to her like that anymore, kind of things. And so then it was just kind of a matter of time, before I was walked into the office and I was terminated for insubordination. And what really got me is that if they had done something then, it would have stopped that individual from continuing to
Right.
harass the female staff. So I would say, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely have been
Yeah.
impacted, by that, and yeah, it's a really tough place to be, having gone through that in the community, and yeah, and I know that, when I originally applied to be the executive director of the
Mhm.
Minneapolis American Indian Center, there were those, community members that, or, I would say, the leaders from other orgs
Mhm.
that didn't want me in the position for whatever reason, maybe because, I was a female,
Mhm.
maybe because I did speak up,
Mhm.
against the sexual harassment. I don't know, but
Mhm.
there were people that
Sure.
didn't want me in my current position.
Mhm.
So it has been tough,
Mhm.
being a female, um, and yeah, I'm not sure what else to say
No,
about
that's
that.
very difficult. Yeah, and I mean, I
Yes.
think good for you for continuing in that industry, right, and not letting that really scar you. And I would assume that you have allowed that experience to shape your current leadership practices and making sure that that doesn't ever happen to anybody else. Now that you get a say and you get to make those decisions and those policies and all that kind of stuff. And you know,
Definitely.
you don't really seem like you have a chip on your shoulder of like prove them wrong or anything like that, but I think, I would assume that that drives you a little bit of like, you know what, you didn't want me in this position. I'm still going to do the best that I can do, regardless of if you want me. Not, I'm still here to serve you, no
Mhm.
matter what. Yeah. If a 16-year-old said, "Hey, I think I want to work in nonprofit for the rest of my life, specifically nonprofit leadership," what advice would you have for them?
Let's see, advice. I would definitely say that your family always comes first, and to be mindful of that. But it really is. It's a balancing act, with family and community. And so, really, to be a leader, you have to be able to do that. And I would say that, for a 16-year-old, education is extremely important, and to keep, to stay in school, and get a degree,
Mhm.
to be able to do what you want to do. And yeah, and then I would say to not let people get you down.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen in
Mhm.
leadership. And you just have to know that you're doing the right thing and you're there for the right reasons.
Well, let's rewind a little bit to the Minneapolis American Indian Center. Here's a silly question. Is it open to like you mentioned you have a cafe? Can I just go in and like get
Yeah.
coffee? It's open to the public. It's open to
You can go there. You can our cafe is open
Okay.
to the public. We have our art gallery, which is the Two Rivers Art Gallery, that's open.
Okay.
And then we also have there's a gift shop there that's independently owned and operated.
Okay.
We have our gym and fitness center. So anybody coming
Mhm.
into the Indian Center definitely can utilize all of that.
Yeah.
Can eat in the cafe.
Mhm.
And then we have a lot of special events that
Okay.
happen, like Indigenous Peoples Day
Mhm.
just happened,
Yeah.
and we had like huge powwow then
Cool.
that was open to the public.
Yeah.
And so there are events. So on our social media
Mhm.
page, we definitely like keep up on all of the activities and events that are coming up,
Okay.
so people can look at that
Yeah.
and see what's happening at the Indian Center.
Okay. And what does the educational programs look like for someone who's not part of the community? So if I wanted to just learn more about the Indian culture and heritage in Minnesota. Do you guys have any types of programs or anything that would allow me to do that?
I would say participating in some of our classes.
Okay.
So like every week we have drum and dance that's open to everyone. Anyone can learn. We have dance instructors, we have drum instructors, and then there's also instructors for the women backup singers.
Okay.
So yeah, anybody is welcome to come in and participate. And I think that just participating in those types of activities, that really helps for non-natives to have a better understanding
Yeah.
of our culture.
Yeah. Very cool. Anything else you'd like to share?
Nothing that I can think.